Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have to confess, and I did it before and I will do it again, I like very much George Galloway. I know he's a communist, but I like him. I like the way he thinks. I like his boldness and his experience. The first time when I saw George Galloway was a video a long time ago when he had to show up in front of a senatorial commission of the US Congress about the Iraq war and all that garbage, where he smacked those guys he was like a lion, with evidence, facts, and he showed courage, not only courage. So I have here a little video in which I watched George Galloway being interviewed by BBC, Sky News, and other media operatives with, as he says, it's preposterous questions, something like that. I know my pronunciation is bad, but nevertheless. And he smacks them one by one. Why? Because he already knows them. He knew them from a long time. So we have here an interview of George Galloway by Sky News in Kazan, in Russia. Remember, these guys are not banned being over there, but the Russians in the United States of America, go and see how they interview other people here. For instance, I don't know, I know that BBC asked Putin questions, NBC asked Putin questions in a press conference in Kazan, but I know that Joe Biden would never ask a Sputnik question or a Russia Today or RIA Novosti question. Why? Because we are free and we have our First Amendment over there. So I have a video clip. It's 8 minutes, the video clip, from the party, the Socialist, the Communist Party. What is it? It's the Workers' Party of Britain. And it's George Galloway ambushed, as he says, by this Sky News operative. This is a young man. And obviously, George Galloway will mop the floor with this guy. And I'm going to show you, I would like you to pay attention to the questions, the body language, not only of George Galloway, but the media operative, the employee of the Sky News, and makes you think, when we didn't have other people videotaping the exact context and all that, these guys could edit and they could write about this interview however they wanted, and we would have no way to see how this rude operative individual, I don't know how he sleeps at night, interviewed George Galloway. If he thinks the way he asked the questions, then we are at war. And I think we are at war. Or he's just doing a job, he's an asshole. I don't know how he sleeps. Remember, I like George Galloway, but it doesn't make me an obedient, supporter if he fucks up, or because he's a communist, which I don't like. I call him a communist. I don't think he would be offended by that. And I know he won't, because he's smarter than that. So this is the interview. So this is George Galloway in Russia. These guys ambushes him on the hallways and going to ask him some questions. Remember, this was about BRICS. Remember, the BRICS summit. Not about anything else, but this guy has an agenda and he's going to attack him. So let's start the video. I'm going to move around. There's going to be a little subtitles in here, or you can read whatever he says, because it's very low volume. Let's see.
Why is it significant?
Well, it's the beginning of a new world, I think. It's the Bretton Woods of the 21st century. It's the beginning of new financial, economic, and even political structures which will greatly influence the lives of the vast majority of the population. Probably not ours in Britain. We'll be quite late to the party, I think. But given that half the world is already in BRICS.
Look at the guy's body language. Look how he stands.
That BRICS already is bigger than the G7, the so-called giant seven economies. It's axiomatic that our children and children unborn are going to feel the benefits of Kazan 2024.
Ukraine might see this very differently, of course. You say influence the lives of people. Russia's influencing the lives of people.
Yeah, I knew because you're Sky News, that's what you have to ask. But you and our governments, and the governments of the West, are wholly responsible for the crisis in Ukraine.
Russia's not responsible.
You're too young to know, but in
Didn't Russia invade Ukraine?
You're too young to know, but
Please pay attention how many times this young man interrupts this old man trying to break his train of thought, or how do you call it, whatever it is of thought, and he can't because Galloway worked or dealt with these assholes a long time ago. You're gonna see how this is the interviewer, the level of the interviews they conduct with Putin, with others that they don't like. I'm not saying you should not push, but listen.
in 2014, the West, including our country, overthrew the elected president of Ukraine and set in train
Didn't Russia
a civil
invade
war.
Ukraine?
Listen, I'm here to talk about the BRICS. If you want to talk about the BRICS, we can
Isn't
do
that
that.
all fine?
You just bumped into me in the corridor. I think, graciously agreed to talk to you, but don't try and put me on track. Okay?
I'm just asking you questions,
No, but
following
you-
up
but-
following up your answers.
Yeah.
Are you supportive of the war in Ukraine?
What are you looking for? A gotcha? I have spoken.
It's just a simple question.
I
Are you
have, well,
supportive?
it's a simple question with a simple answer. I have adumbrated my view on Ukraine in millions of words over the entire
about just one
period.
word, yes
Well,
or no?
No, there's no one-word answer to it, as you very well know. I have extensively written, spoken in Parliament, out of Parliament, on the crisis in Ukraine. You're welcome to consult it.
So you can't say that you
I
either
presume you
support it
know
or
how
don't
to.
support
I
it.
presume you know.
Are you
how
supportive
to
or not?
Google. How dare you ambush me with these trial questions? I'm here
an ambush. I
for
asked
the. It is an ambush. It is an ambush.
You didn't think I'd want to ask about Ukraine?
7/8 of your questions have been about my attitude to Ukraine. This is an international conference of some importance. And I'm here because half the world is here. You don't care about that. You care about your cheap Murdoch tabloid agenda. And that's probably, I know he doesn't, but you're trained in the Murdoch School of Journalism. And everyone watching already knows that. So
We've never crossed
I
paths.
have extensively expanded on my views on Ukraine, and I tried to give you the short version. In 2014, Western governments overthrew in a violent coup the elected government of Ukraine. I should be asking you the question, why did Sky News support that violent, illegal coup? Because that's the origin of all the disaster that has overtaken Ukraine.
How about Vladimir Putin's comments to the violence in the Middle East should end? Isn't that a bit rich, given that he's currently waging war in Ukraine?
What a take. Do you know that even your audience wants an end to the violence in the Middle East? Even your audience wants that? But you have to twist that.
shouldn't there be end to violence all
You
over the
have
world?
to twist that into an attack on Russia in Ukraine. Why don't we talk about Palestine? Why don't we talk? Why don't we talk about the genocide in Gaza? Why don't we talk about the illegal bombardment of Lebanon? Why don't we talk about mass starvation? Why don't we talk about the ethnic cleansing on a scale not seen since the Second World War? Why do you have to talk about it in relation to Ukraine? I'll tell you why. You came here with a cheap agenda to attack Russia. But here's a point
Sky
that
News is covering all of those topics in those locations.
here's a point.
I am the Moscow
Here's
correspondent. That's why I'm covering Russia and Ukraine. And my question to you is, do you call for an end to the violence in Ukraine?
Of course.
Yes or no? Right.
Of course.
So you don't
Just
support
like the
war in
BRICS
Ukraine.
did. Just like the BRICS
So you
did.
don't support the
I've
war.
told you that I have spoken on Ukraine. If you were a journalist of any note coming to interview me, you'd already know my views, extensively revealed over 2 years and millions of words. You asked me about the Middle East. In the Middle East, there is a Holocaust going on. Even your audience considered it as such. Yet you want to condemn the call by the BRICS yesterday for seeking an end to that Holocaust? You twisted it in your very Sky News way into an attack on Russia in Ukraine. Why can't you compartmentalize in your mind for a moment that a Holocaust that is condemned by all right-thinking people was condemned by the BRICS here yesterday?
There's no condemnation of Ukraine.
Actually, there was a call by the BRICS for negotiated ending to the Ukraine war.
In the 43-page communique.
Well, it was mentioned once, but it was mentioned. It's a significant
One more
statement.
question, if I may.
Are you sure?
The US says North Korean troops are in Russia receiving training, and the fear is they'll be deployed to Ukraine to join Russian forces there on the battlefield.
I
What do you make of
I
that?
would have thought that was a fairy story. First of all, I'm not sure the North Korean forces need trained by anybody. North Korea has one of the most fearsome armies on the planet. And I think Russia has no need of North Korean troops. I think it's another cheap tabloid smear.
If it were
which
to
is-
happen, though, if they were to be deployed there?
If my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle.
Let's leave it there. George Galloway, thank you very much.
All right, so what do you think about this, my friends? What do you think about this? Have you seen that journalist? Do you think that was a journalist? Of some sort? But if they would, have you ever seen this kind of questions asked of, I don't know, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, the imbecile Kermat, Starmart, no, Sunak, or no, only one they want to destroy. They received the order to destroy these guys. These guys are unleashed to go and ask these questions. Have you seen the body language? Have you seen George Galloway's body language? Hands in the pocket, closed, but looking forward and up, not avoiding eye contact. The other one was like a vulture, looking down, not blushing. It's true that this guy is going to become famous now. He's not famous, but how can you live with yourself? Now, if this guy is a gentleman or a person who knows anything, you were a journalist and you would know certain things, you can't sleep with yourself. I mean, I'm not talking about that. You can go to bed and say, okay, I did a good job. I'm a good guy. Now, I'm not expecting, and I'm going to give you a personal experience, I'm not expecting that we like everything about our jobs or we like all the laws over there. No. But I think this interview proves that this guy was an activated agent, was not an activist. This guy was, as I said, a media operative. This is the level. Now, when we were kids and we heard about Sky, or we were hearing, not kids really, or BBC and, I don't know, Associated Press, and we're thinking about these guys as being, oh my God, the Telegraph, this Daily, whatever, Daily Mail or whatever it was, Daily something. Oh my God, it was fantastic. Or Sun said this. Excellent. When I got older now and I have the experience and I have the ability to look at these guys, no, man, no. These guys are in charge of us clearly with their operatives, which is the media. Definitely. All right, my friends, I think this helps you. I don't know if this is going to fly because he mentioned something in the Middle East, George Galloway, that YouTube doesn't like. So probably, I don't know if it's going to be allowed on YouTube, probably, but with some issues. But remember, these are his opinions, not mine. I don't promote his opinions, all right? But I think freedom of speech should not be infringed by a private company, YouTube with Google and Googles and all that. What do you think? I think it shouldn't. I think the First Amendment should apply 100% to private corporations and private companies. Otherwise, if you pick and choose what amendment you like sometimes and this one you don't like, we get in big trouble. I mentioned that in a previous video. Then we're not going to allow some people to vote in our team meetings or board meetings because they belong to a certain group. Yeah, I think they want to get that point. If those people are saying the wrong words, they have a different way of the wrong thinking, the wrong ideas. So a pleasure always for George to see George Galloway. I'm in a process of, by the way, having George Galloway, if he would graciously accept my invitation, which I already submitted, to have him on this program. So stay tuned. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.